As we await the standing start, green flag is dropped. Formula Super Series is underway. And everybody jockeying for position here. A few drivers are going wide. Oh, problems. Stephen Domigan, Cody Claiborne, Eric Coons have all had problems. Waylon Turner has gone around as well. It's João Gregorio in the lead. Wow, that was a big problem back there. Drivers going off left and right. Look at that. As we got battling for the lead. Gregorio with a big lockup there. Tiago Spencer fading back. This is Hunter Engrave now in third. Engrave with a couple of drivers going at it behind him. Caleb Bensi, Cameron Dance battling for fourth. There's a big move. Oh, and a lockup and a shunt. Big problems there. That's Tiago Spencer. JJ Wang with problems here into turn number one as well. Cody Claiborne here in real time. Oh, over those turtles, and those turtles are rough, and that will get those rear tires heated up. Not a whole lot you can do from there. This is Moda playing defense on Gavin Sanders. Boy, that was wheel-to-wheel contact there. They dive it off into turn number one again. 2 minutes left on the clock. Should give us 2 more laps. Sanders fighting to get on the podium here. And we'll take the spot. Nice work. Gap closing. Caleb Bensi has caught João here. As problems for Connor Baldwin in the final turns. Checkers are out. And João Di Gregorio will take the sprint race. Caleb Bensi closes in at the end. He finishes in second, and the rest of the starting grid as we are already underway. Boy, it happens quick here in the feature.
Oh,
2,
we are
3.
4, maybe 5 wide.
5 wide. Oh, big problems there. That was Goyette. Tiago Spencer again. Oh, more problems. Goodness gracious. Cameron Dance, Northrun Moda. Wow. Huge pileups here. Don Hunter out in front of all of it.
Zach Flaum and Dakota DeMay going to battle. Flaum is going to get that spot here.
I do believe Caleb Bensi was involved, and they are going to throw a caution. It's there, and look at this. Already 2 cars around, times 2 behind him. Wow! That was a shot there. So, no doubt Caleb's night is over. Lap 5 up on the board. Groff under fire from Sanders, who has gotten up to third, and whoa, more problems. Valenzuela, I think, gets tagged. Yes, indeed. He didn't even make it to turn 1 before he got turned around.
4th position here. And Hill dives it back to the inside. More contact.
Contact as well. Looked like between Don Hunter and Jeff Groff, as well as they're battling for second, battling hard all the way through the top 10. As we continue to watch all the great passes and moves. Wow, big lockup there. Holy cow. And that is Cameron Dance that has gone around after a little bit of a lockup there into turn 1. And the pass for the lead on Jeff Groff was a big lockup there on Groff's part. That is how Gavin Sanders got to the top spot.
Here goes Engrave looking to the inside of Hill into turn 1. Extend this lead here.
All eyes on Hayden Herman here, who just had an off track. As Gavin Sanders is approaching, and I think that was Sanders that just made contact with Herman. I have to see, as Sanders has been putting in some blistering laps here. That was some big contact.
Well, almost made contact with Goya, and then, yeah, you're right, slammed into Herman there.
From the rear chase, it doesn't look like anything is too bent up. Hopefully the toe is not knocked out. Down the long main straight here, Gavin Sanders is going to take the first feature for Formula Super Series, and he does it at Fuji Speedway. Hunter Engrave will finish in second. Christopher Hill will finish in third. Jeff Groffen fourth. And they are still swapping positions here for fifth. Yoshikawa and Seifert. And Johnny Hamby is right here too. Tiago Spencer as well. It's a 4-car drag race to get in the top 5. It's Yoshi. Not by much though. The burnout's underway for the race leader.
Yeah, he is burning the house down.
It was an absolutely electric, thrilling, and quite chaotic opening round to the Formula Super Series last week at Fuji, but now we're gearing up for another race that will lend itself to tight quarters, fast racing, and pure chaos. Round number 2 of Formula Super Series will be from Sebring International Raceway, and it is around the turn on turn 200.
A blind night that uses echolocation, viewing the dark, treacherous world through sound. Trapped in a dungeon keep, endangered by combatants, where hazards lurk around every corner. Make sound to have vision, or don't and be stealthy. Avoid impaling threats throughout the dungeon to escape. Engage with other prisoners.
Road night I've been hearing about. Could you find the key and unlock my cell?
Free them to fight back with more allies.
Let's take this guy.
The Dungeon Labyrinth has many paths and even more traps. Struggle through the darkness to find your freedom.
Presentation. High speed, high intensity, wide open spaces, open wheel racing. What more could you possibly have asked for out of last week's inaugural outing at Fuji? Well, how about we take away some of the wide open spaces here and cram these drivers at an airport road course in South Central Florida. We'll keep the high speeds though. Don't worry, those aren't going anywhere, as it is time for a sprint and a feature around Sebring International Raceway, which makes its turn 200 debut. And it is part of the inaugural season of the Formula Super Series, round number 2 here in South Central Florida. My name is Tommy Cook. My partner Matt Williamson will be alongside here momentarily. And why don't we take a look here at what is a staple of sports car racing? One time a host of Formula One Grand Prix competition and IndyCar testing site, Sebring International Raceway. 17 turns, 3.74 miles here around the Grand Prix configuration of the track. Opened in 1950, over 70 years ago. The layout we are running today has been the staple here at Sebring Sebring since 1999, and there will be some partying for a couple of drivers after this one is all said and done here tonight. Let's take a lap around Sebring, why don't we? We start with blistering speed down the pit straight here as we head to one of the trickiest turns on the circuit, this sweeping left here. It carries you down this straight with a right-hand kink and then into turn number 3. Turn 4 comes up on you quick, and then a left hand into 5 sets you up for turn number 6, the Big Bend. The Big Bend gives way to a long straight into one of the tightest turns on the entire course, the hairpin, turn number 7. A couple of awkward turns you need to set yourself up for properly here as you work your way towards the Fangio straight in turns number 8 and 9. And a long jaunt down here to a awkward 45-degree turn in turn number 10. That will set you up for the Collier Bend around 11. And a quick snap of the wheel to the right gets you through 12 and set up for turn number 13, the Tower Turn. And from here on out, you can kiss that brake pedal goodbye unless something is going wrong around you. High speeds, high intensity, and no time for any funny business here as we go through Bishop and 14 and set yourself up for the Le Mans section of the track in turns 15 and 16. You're around turn 16 and you are flat out through the Ullman Straight, around the right-hander, through Sunset Bend, which will bring you back home here, headed east back down the main straightaway. We're about halfway into qualifying now, just about 4 minutes and 20 seconds left to go. How fitting of a number that is that we land on that. I want to welcome in the man I mentioned just a second ago, the one and only, the GOAT, Mr. Florida man, Matt Williamson. Welcome home here to Sebring International Raceway. This is one that a lot of the drivers have been dreading. Not a ton of people looking forward to this one here tonight, and for many reasons. But I think the key place that you could start your investigation at would be some of the differences between what we saw last week in Fuji and what we are going to see here tonight. What do you think some of the key differences between those two iconic venues are?
Yeah, well, I mean, one of them is definitely the track width. I mean, last week we were able to see a lot of passing, and here tonight we're going to be a lot more narrow than we were at Fuji. I've been watching Survivor as of late. At Fuji, not that Fuji had a ton of elevation change, but it is in Japan. Sebring is in Florida, the flattest state in the United States. Actually, that's a fun fact for you. If you combine that with the fact that we're at an airport, which kind of has to be flat to function correctly, you can rest assured that this is as flat as it's going to get. The big problem that will crop up for these drivers is the fact that Sebring is really, really bumpy. The drivers are going to be fighting this track all night long. The rear end's going to get loose on them. The front end's going to get loose on them. It's going to be all sorts of topsy-turvy, even though it's a flat surface.
There will be 3 point standings that we monitor throughout the season, but as we sort of ease into a new sort of coverage for us with Formula Super Series, let's just start off by going with the pro driver standings after one round and a sprint race last week at Fuji, or Fiji, whichever you want to call it.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and take a look at the points here. Actually, I'm going to take that away so we can see the full thing. You'll notice Gavin Sanders, Hunter Engrave, Christopher Hill, and João Di Gregorio are first through 4. Those 4 were the top 4 feature finishers from last week at Fuji. João Di Gregorio is he was 4th in the standings after winning the sprint race, but he was 5th, got caught up in the accident. Anyways, the sprint race saved his night, essentially by keeping him high in the points. The sprint points format is exactly the same as the F1 point system, so if you qualify for the invert in the feature, you are at least guaranteed extra points at the end, even if you finish poorly in the feature race.
Yeah, you caught my typo there. Apologies for that. Jeff Groff actually finished 4th. in Fuji. Zhao won the sprint race, didn't even finish on the lead lap in the feature race after some lap 1 problems there. And speaking of lap 1 problems, Sebring lives in infamy among many of these drivers. Many of these guys are transplants from the open wheel scene that was started by Christopher Kresge with the Schaefer's Redacted Car Series. And that same crop of drivers sort of made their way over to the Formula Indy Series. FIS had a standing start here at Sebring. The top 2 drivers made it into turn 1. The rest of the field crashed. And that it was a full field, much like we're going to see tonight. So when we talk about drivers not being excited to be back here at Sebring, a lot of those drivers were in that FIS race here at Sebring not too long ago. A lot of them still bear the scars, if you will, of what we saw here. Standing start, like you said, a bumpy track, a flat track, but a very bumpy track, and a standing start. It's going to cause some problems here tonight. 20 seconds left in qualifying before we get to the starting grid for tonight's sprint race. Want to say hello to everybody that's hanging out with us here tonight. Drop us a chat. Let us know who we got, who we're cheering for, who we should keep an eye on as the night rolls along. I'll tell you one driver that we are going to have no problem keeping an eye on with his second qualifying pole of the season, Zhao Di Gregorio. Looking to go back-to-back in the sprint races here to open things up with FSS competition. Tiago Spencer was the hard charger in last week's feature. He will start in spot number 2, looking to fare better in the sprint race this time around. Last week's feature winner, Gavin Sanders, will start in 3rd. Northern Moda had some problems in the feature last week. Wants to bounce back here with a good sprint and a good feature. He starts in 4th. Hunter Engrave, runner-up last week. He starts in 5th. Kevin Bonomi, good starting spot for him in P6. Damian Benke in 7th. Caleb Bensi looking for a bounce back after a lap 1 exit last week. He starts at 8th. Connor Baldwin and Logan Spath round out your top 10. Cameron Dance, Nate Siefker on row number 6. Mario Capalucci and Don Hunter on row number 7. Zach Flaum, Nagisa Yoshikawa on row number 8. Frankie Franchica and Christian Jasper. JJ Wang, Johnny Hamby round out your top 20. We'll scroll through the rest of the starting grid while Matt Williamson tells us what these drivers can expect here for the feature race and for the sprint, I guess, to start things off.
Yeah, well, here in the sprint race, it's a 12-minute sprint. It's going to be about 8 or 9 laps here around Sebring as we're going to get to the end of the lineup. 39 drivers here tonight, by the way, so just one short of last week at Fuji. So another great turnout here. We're going to take a look at the weather conditions. And since we're in Florida, you can kind of imagine what it's going to be like. Pretty humid, 98 degrees on the track temperature as well. And there are 0 fast repairs here. And then we're going to get to mandatory tires when we get to the feature race. But here for the sprint, it's just all out as we're getting ready to go.
Absolutely hot and humid. Actually, track temp down quite a bit from practice earlier, so that may help the standing start here as Zhao Di Gregorio is waiting for lights out. Tiago Spencer starting to his right. And we are off. Formula Super Series underway here at
crash in the
Sebring.
back already.
Stacking up through the mid-pack. We are nearly 4 wide in the mid-pack heading into turn number 1. Problems for Drew White, Dan Minklin, Dave Payton, Connor Baldwin on the opening couple of corners. As to the lead, Tiago Spencer. Oh, big stack up here through turn 4 and 5.
That was contact. I think it was Yoshikawa, Johnny Hamby, Coons involved in there, I believe, as well. Oh, another one's around. That's Hunter Engrave.
Engrave in the top 5 now falls back through the field. The big slowdown for the hairpin. Check it up in a spin in the mid-pack again.
Oh, and this is a bit of a track blocker.
Yes, it is.
Johnny Hamby involved again. Hugo Galaz was around as well. Still crashing here.
A mess to open things up here. Made it off the starting grid this time, but not much further than that. We'll have a lot to look at here once lap number 1 goes in the books. But up front, Tiago Spencer with the lead. Just had a pass for fourth. Northern Moda gets back around Caleb Bensi to regain the fourth position. Bensi up 4 spots to start this one, or rather 3 spots.
Cameron Dance and Connor Baldwin, they're fighting for position as well. Here comes a pass. Siefker trying to get past Capalucci. He's going to get that spot for right now.
That's Siefker into the top 10. Tiago Spencer leads the opening lap.
Lots of movement through the middle of the pack here.
Just a car length separates your top 2. Spencer over Di Gregorio as they work now through turns 2, 3, and 4.
Logan Spath had gained a couple of positions and then got off into the dirt. So now behind Don Hunter once again, just outside the top 10 here.
Gavin Sanders tucked up right underneath the rear wing of João Di Gregorio in second. So the top 3 now nose to tail. Spencer with his wing mirrors full of traffic behind. Northern Moda, Caleb Bensi right now the top 5. Bonomi, Dance, Baldwin, Siefker, and Capalucci the top 10.
Quite a few drivers jumped to the pits already, it looks like. Kresge's one of them. You mentioned him a little bit earlier. Valenzuela, Hugo Galaz has jumped to the pits, so all that action we saw earlier has already ended the sprint race for some of the drivers.
Here we go for the lead. Gregorio dives to driver's right into Sunset Bend. And a pass for fourth to boot. That battle will continue, but it's João Di Gregorio back to the top spot here to put lap number 2 in the books. 2 laps, 2 different leaders. And now Gavin Sanders all over Tiago Spencer.
Bensi and Moda continue to battle for this 4th position, side by side still.
And don't forget that these 2 were battling inside the top 5 in the feature race last week, and they took each other out. So wheel to wheel may not be where they want to find themselves early in the going here.
Right behind them, Kevin Bonomi and Cameron Dance, they are battling as well.
Tiago Spencer is faded to outside of a second behind Di Gregorio in the lead.
Connor Baldwin right there in the mix as well with Dance and Bonomi. Here comes Sanders looking to put the pressure on Spencer. He had that. He was right up underneath that wing. We've seen that a couple of times already from Gavin Sanders.
You had mentioned Chris Valenzuela, who's having some pretty horrible luck here to open things up this season. He has left the pits. Dakota DeMade, also involved in the early going there. He has left the pits as well. Frankie Franchica has disconnected from the session, so he may be calling it a night early here. And while we've got a little bit of space up front, if we can we try and go back to see some of the action there in the opening lap? But we're never going to see it all, that's for sure.
No, certainly not. We'll try to find at least a couple of those incidents, or a couple big ones. We'll try to look at the incident between Yoshikawa and I think Engrave. That's the one that Engrave was involved in as well. Yeah, everybody just super bunched up here. Oh, and somebody gets loose right in front. That was just an off-track incident. The crash is coming very shortly here. Sure enough, there it is. A couple drivers get together, and this is the track blocker that we mentioned before. Hugo Galaz was involved in that one. he was one of the folks blocking the track. Big slowdown there in front around that hairpin. And a lot of the drivers just did not get checked up for that one. That was by far the biggest incident that we had. And then many more smaller incidents than that throughout the rest of those first couple of laps. As we come out for the fight for second with Gavin Sanders and Tiago Spencer, Sanders now has it, and now the fight back. Oh my goodness!
Wow. Spencer had a couple of well-timed blocks, but it was not enough for Sanders to stay behind. Sanders not happy over the radio with the contact there. Regardless, moved Gavin up to second. Tiago back to third, who's immediately under fire now from North and Moda. Cameron Dance has just gotten around Kevin Bonomi to move up to sixth. A couple of good battles here inside the top 10, but as these two scrap away, João Di Gregorio has pulled out to a 3-second advantage here on lap number 5 of, we think, about 8 or 9. Only 4 minutes and 10 seconds left to go here in the sprint race.
Back here around the top 10, a lot of drivers pretty close together here. And these are the same drivers we've been kind of keeping an eye on here since the drop of the green flag. Bonomi, Siefker, Connor Baldwin, Damian Benke's here, Don Hunter, Logan Spath. All of these drivers have all been right around here, kind of all fighting for the 6th position. Oh, and there's a little bit
Big
of contact. Benke goes around. Oh, and big hit to the inside wall.
I'm not sure if he spun or locked up, but I saw the big puff of smoke, and it was on from there, and that car is torched. Some slower traffic navigated by the race leader. Sanders, Spencer, and Moda all will come up on momentarily.
And Di Gregorio just set the purple lap of the race with only a few minutes remaining.
Yeah, he is. Sanders, to his credit, not much slower than the purple lap there, but still losing just a skosh of time here when he can't afford any time loss. After the pass on lap 2 by Di Gregorio, he has not looked back. And if he did look back, he would have seen wheel-to-wheel contact with the drivers behind him, so I'm sure he was feeling pretty good about that.
Here's a look back a little bit farther in the pack here. This is outside the top 15. This is Hunter Engrave, who we know has a lot of speed in this car, but got caught up in an accident early. Looking to get around Capalucci for 17th right now.
And Capalucci will be coming up on Logan Spath, who just spun out all on his own from the 11th position. Cameron Dance in 6th, just set the purple lap of the race, and now he is trying to pass Caleb Bensi, who just had an off track, and it's not getting any better for Bensi. Caleb Bensi bounced from the top 5.
And Bensi did a great job to not make that worse than it needed to be. Nearly got that car looped around, but was able to save it, but now is under fire from Kevin Bonomi.
Bensi went wide there in turn 1. Cameron Dance was already closing that gap, and the gap closed right away. Nothing really either of them can do. Now Bensi has a choice in the matter here on how he defends Kevin Bonomi. $50 seconds left to go. João Di Gregorio right now. should be enough time for him to get around and put one more lap up on the board. He comes around Sunset Bend with a 3.5 second advantage over Gavin Sanders, who has pulled away from Tiago Spencer. Northern Moda has faded away from Spencer now as well. And Zhao takes the purple lap back, then Gavin Sanders steals it from him. So Sanders, 8/1000ths of a second faster than Zhao Di Gregorio that last time around.
And on screen, we watched the pass. Bonomi was finally able to get around Caleb Bensi, so Bensi back. Oh, no! Problems for Bonomi now.
Oh, boy.
Did he disconnect?
He certainly, he's back.
Oh, he's back now.
He was gone forever.
Well, I'll stop talking about that for right now. But Bensi moved back to 7th.
We're coming around the tower here for Zhao Di Gregorio, looking for his second straight sprint race victory through the Le Mans section of the track. And headed down the Ullman Straight. Di Gregorio with a sweep of the sprint races to open the Formula Super Series season. Zhao is back on top. Gavin Sanders in second. Tiago Spencer rounds out the sprint podium. Northern Moda, nice fourth place finish. Cameron Dance, very strong late in the run there. He finishes P5. Caleb Bensi, or rather Kevin Bonomi in sixth. Nate Siefker in seventh. Caleb Bensi in eighth. Don Hunter and Connor Baldwin will be on the pole for the feature race with the 10-car invert. They all score points. They all will get their positions re-racked for the starting grid here again momentarily. Hoping we can get a word in here with Di Gregorio. Still not in this Discord, unfortunately, but if he pops in, we'll have a quick word with him. Regardless, a nice performance out front and pretty exciting racing all throughout the field. Definitely some scary moments for a lot of these drivers, however.
Yeah, lots of scary moments. Not just scary moments, but detrimental moments for some of the drivers as well. They got past the point of being scary, and it just was bad. So, yeah, I mean, not really unlike what we saw last week in Fuji either. Lots of first lap incidents and quite a few drivers actually getting taken out of the race early on. So, I would like to say that we're going to try to take it a little bit easier on the feature start with more time to play, but I have a feeling that may not be the case.
So I gave you the top 10 there, and I don't think we can pull up the results, unfortunately, unless I'm wrong about that.
I got them.
Oh, you got them. How about that? Well, I just gave you the top 10, so I guess let's go down to 11th, Zach Flau. Christian Jasper there in 12th. Cody Claiborne, Nick Isidro, Logan Spath, Ian Bakes through 16th. Hunter Engrave had those early problems you documented there. He finishes down in 17th. 18th for Mario Capalucci, 19th for Navarre Luce, and Nick Goyette rounds out the top 20. Joshua Tucker in 21st. Daryl Klotz, 22nd. Nagase Yoshikawa, more early problems for him. He finishes down at 23rd. Matt Schlosser in 24th. Then everybody else had some problems, had to hit the pits for one reason or another. Chris Valenzuela in 25th. Johnny Hamby, 26th. Dave Payton in 27th. Dakota Demade, Christopher Kresge, Damian Benke, Hugo Galaz, Jeff Oakes, Waylon Turner, Eric Coons, Dan Miglin, J.J. Wang, Frankie Franchica, and then Hayden Herman and Drew White as well. I think everybody that disconnected has come back for the feature. So we should see all 39 cars take to the grid for the 45-minute, not lap. I made that mistake last week. 45-minute feature. What's going to be different this time around, Matt? What are we going to be watching out for?
Yeah, as we get going here, you mentioned it, 45 minutes, should be about between 25 to 27 laps, probably on the back half of that estimate, so more like 26 or 27 if I had to guess. No fast repairs. There is a required stop for tires. It has to be after lap 10 and before the white flag lap, so you can't take your tires there on the last lap. And there is no need for a fuel window because you literally can't put fuel in these cars on pit road. So even if we wanted there to be one, there can't be one, but there is a mandatory pit stop, like we said, for the tires. There is 200 seconds of overtake or push to pass, as you might know it. 17x is a drive-through penalty, and 25x is a disqualification.
To the starting grid now for the feature. Only got 45 seconds to tell you, so we'll just tell you the drivers that will be inverted and where they're going to be starting here. Connor Baldwin, Don Hunter on row 1, Caleb Bensi, Nate Siefker on row 2, Kevin Bonomi, Cameron Dance on row 3, Northern Moda and Tiago Spencer on row 4, Gavin Sanders and João De Gregorio start in 9th and 10th. 30 seconds. We want to thank everybody for hanging out with us again here tonight. Drop us a chat. Nobody's chatting right now. Let us know who's watching, who's hanging out, and who you're cheering for ahead of a 45-minute feature race here at Sebring. We'll be back on air tomorrow night with the Venom Truck Series at Talladega and the ASRL Sports Car Championship back in action on Wednesday nights from Kansas Speedway. Green flag getting ready to drop with Connor Baldwin and Don Hunter leading the way. The feature is green. Big jump here for Baldwin. Hunter under fire. 3 wide in certain parts of turn 1. Drivers off into the dirt. Side by side for second. Connor Baldwin wants to get out of Dodge.
I think that was either De Gregorio or Christian Jasper that got off the racing surface. Couldn't quite tell.
Good opening sequence here for Caleb Bensi. He has snuck up through to third, chasing Don Hunter now towards the hairpin. Big stack-ups lunging left and right all through the field. Oh, and a big shot there, and around we may have another track blocker. Capalucci is sideways. Ian Bake's involved. Others. Yoshikawa got a piece of it again.
And that was
we are still green.
Cody Claiborne was the one backwards on the track. So he is going to go all the way to the tail of the field now.
Hairpin is a tough place to be on the opening lap, especially in the middle of the field. Don Hunter has his hands full with Caleb Bensi as we're going off track behind them. Siefker and Sanders trading spots. Siefker with a black flag to clear. Here's the move for Bensi to driver's right into the right-hander, turn 17. Hunter trying to fight back. But Bensi with a big lunge takes spot number 2. The opening lap goes to Connor Baldwin. We got a spin. I think that's De Gregorio who's gone around and into the pit wall.
It is. That's De Gregorio. There was some contact there as well, I believe. We'll have to try to take a look at it when we get a chance.
Connor Baldwin dipped the tire off into the grass there through turn 1. That has closed up the gap to he and Caleb Bensi. Bensi is right here looking to pounce.
Bensi needs a good comeback race here in the feature compared to his sprint.
Thought about it. Thinks better of it. The hairpin, not your friend early in the going here, but big passes behind. Nate Siefker with a meatball flag was running in 5th. So what has happened to Nate Siefker? Oh, a bobble there from Baldwin, and Bensi is all over it. Through Lamar. And wide open here. Down the Ullman Straight. Gavin Sanders going to have a good run here on Don Hunter for third. Bensy not quite within striking distance. But the bronze medal place is on for Sanders, who sends it into 17. Cameron Dance again back in fifth. Purple lap. Now Tiago Spencer snags it. But we are awfully pacey here. About halfway through the top 10.
Yeah, good portion of this top 10. All running really solid laps right now. And 2 or 3 really nice battles happening as well. And this is only 4 minutes into this race.
41 minutes ago. Here's Bensy with a peak for the lead. Baldwin trying to defend. Tough spot to do it. But Baldwin going to hang on. Shuts the door back on Bensy. All this is allowing Gavin Sanders to close into the picture here. Door open again. Bensy this time tries to take it. But on the outside here for a couple of lefts. One dogleg right and a hard right, and Bensy now finally through to the lead. Gavin Sanders trying to get through the hole here as well.
Baldwin with the tire off there through the right-hander on the outside. It allows Sanders to edge out in front for a moment and now takes the spot. Don Hunter right here within striking distance as well. Baldwin needs to correct the ship right now.
Baldwin, no slouch, that is for sure. Schaefer's winner in its final season of competition. Hanging tough here with two of the best, Bensy and Sanders. But those two want to pull away as some other fast drivers cutting their way up through the field. Tiago Spencer has snuck past Cameron Dance, but they are nearly nose to tail here, 5th and 6th. And they are right behind Hunter and Baldwin.
On board right now with Cameron Dance has Tiago Spencer in front. Spencer ran the purple lap of the race the last time around. Was trying to get past Don Hunter, but Dance is right here within striking distance as well.
Hunter has been putting in a lot of practice this week. We'll see if he has been putting in practice on how to defend from the preferred line here. Doing a nice job so far, but Tiago Spencer going to cross him up here. Spencer with a preferred positioning here. But Hunter prevails from the outside.
That was a great look at a chess match on track there. We saw Hunter trying to protect that inside line multiple times. Spencer trying to force him into a crossover a couple of times as well. That's what it takes up here in the top 10. It is ruthless.
And speaking of Hunters and speaking of fast drivers, Hunter Engrave has worked his way into the top 10 already, up to 9th. As here's Spencer again to the inside, and this time Don Hunter going to roll out of it and bust him for 3 spots as Northern Moda almost found his way around.
Yeah, there was some contact there between Hunter and Moda. Dance did a nice job of being able to capitalize on that hole. You do not want to get stuck on the outside there. Otherwise, that can happen to you. You lose a couple of spots in the same corner.
Purple lap last time around for Caleb Bensy. Half a second quicker than Gavin Sanders, but Gavin Sanders still hanging tough here, about 7/10 behind.
In the chat, James Lehman's hanging out, cheering on Johnny Hamby.
Hamby with some work to do, but doing a nice job to open things up here, down in 14th.
And up a lot of positions.
Yes.
Up 12 positions to get to 14, so definitely moving in the right direction, and still a lot of time left to continue to do so.
Finished either just in or just outside of the top 5 last week. He knows exactly what he's doing, but just has a lot of it to do here. But 37 minutes to do it in. Bensy putting a little bit of time on Sanders here. Caleb Bensy with control of the field here at Sebring. Connor Baldwin still hanging tough here in third, but has Tiago Spencer and Cameron Dance right behind him.
North and Moto looking to get around Hunter. Had a good look at it. Not quite able to make it happen this time. And now here's that three-way battle you were mentioning, and it has tightened up big time.
I love seeing the different lines there through turn one. It's like turn one at Texas, as that was a shot there, it looked like.
Yeah, Cameron Dance is
Spencer
bump drafting Tiago Spencer through the corners, telling him to get moving or get out of the way.
into the hairpin. The bump draft isn't going to work here, but the lookout to driver right might. Not quite yet. Slower traffic staying off to the left here. Much appreciated. Yeah, they're not required to do that, but nearly state fair bumper cars there.
And João Di Gregorio in the chat says it just snapped around on him.
We do have a couple of things to look at here, I guess, while things have stagnated a bit. We might go see what happened to Nate Siefker and also to João, if we can find either of them. It's been literally 10 minutes since that happened.
Well, I've had Siefker's incident kind of queued up for quite a while, so I definitely have that one here. Let's go ahead and watch this battle down this long straight first, because this is a passing opportunity, maybe the biggest one on the track. And here goes Tiago Spencer.
Spencer up to third. Baldwin under fire still from Cameron Dance. Baldwin's done a really good job here into turn one, so he might have some good defense here, or he may just give up the spot entirely. And that is exactly what happens. Christian Jasper has just made a pass to move into the top 10. He bumps Hunter Engrave back out, as Flaum and Jasper have both gotten back past Engrave. He's on sort of a slide here.
Yeah, he's on a slide. Meanwhile, North and Moda, he is looking to start climbing. Not really up or down many positions, but looking to get another one here. Through the hairpin. Oh, there's some contact.
Wow.
Moda slammed into the grass.
Now he's under fire. Don Hunter wants to get back up.
Man, this
pull back in the line.
This battling in the top 10 has just been so intense.
Yes.
All right, let's go ahead and get to that moment for Siefker here.
I'll keep a close eye on everything else that's happening.
Oh, and there's contact with, I'm not sure who that was, but him and another car got kind of tied up together almost, and it forces him to kind of slide into the outside wall there in turn one. Oh, looks like it might have been a little bit of netcode contact as well. A little bit of netcode contact, then he gets loose, and then just, absolutely slams into this outside wall. And then let's go ahead and take a look at what happened to Di Gregorio here. Oh, and you can see it. That's what he was talking about, how it just snapped around on him as he is rounding. I believe this is turn one.
I think it was turn 17, actually. I think it was the last turn.
He's trying to make... Oh, and he goes over some bumps, and the rear wheels just kind of kick up and down on him a little bit. Snaps him loose. He tries to correct it, but it's just too much to handle.
Oh, you are correct. This is a separate thing. He had spun out of turn 17, but he's rounding turn 1 there. You are correct.
So that is what ultimately takes Di Gregorio out of the race.
And we have just had a pass for the lead. Gavin Sanders had been sizing up Caleb Bensi the last few turns, but really closed up the gap there. And now it's Gavin Sanders to P1.
And not only that, Tiago Spencer in third, purple lap of the race, was just turned the last lap around. So looking to cut into this lead. It was almost a half a second faster than what Benzie and Sanders had run.
And he was about 5 seconds behind once that battle with Baldwin and Dance sort of settled down. And it's down to 3.3 seconds. So Tiago Spencer's coming in a hurry here. Also,
Hunter and North of Moda just will not, or excuse me, Baldwin and Moda will not let each other go here. And Di Gregorio in the chat clarifies that he had no wing there when he entered turn 1 after the spin in 17.
So the pass for the lead happened coming out of the hairpin. It looked like Benzie just had no drive off at all, and Sanders was able to just blow by him.
Well, let's go ahead and take a look. I'm going to back it up a bit here. Go ahead and go full speed. Sanders in the black car behind. You're right, just goes straight around on the outside there. Wasn't much that Benzie could do. And that is where we stand now.
Potentially Sanders on the overtake there. Maybe that was the difference maker. Or Caleb Benzie just didn't get great drive off. This is bumpy. It's concrete. It's an airport. It's Florida. It's completely flat. So many things working against these drivers. And Gavin Sanders has been driving like a man possessed for the most part early in the going here in Formula Super Series, as Connor Baldwin has just gotten back past North and Moda. And Moda, it sounded like it was a bit contested. Moda didn't sound very happy over the radio.
Well, I mean, they've been battling really hard for maybe 4, 5, 6 laps now. I mean, any time you're around somebody for that long, you can't get around them when you feel like you're faster. Yeah, you're not going to feel good about it, even if there is no foul play.
Racing wheel to wheel on a bumpy, tight track is a great way to make friends. I can tell you that much. So Sanders has opened the gap up to a second. Tiago Spencer is still closing in. He's 0.3 quicker than either the race leader or second place last time around. That gap stands at about 2.7 seconds on a bull named Fu Manchu.
Wow, he completed it this time.
Well, it's been a while.
Oh, it's good to bring it back.
Pit window is open logistically, or I guess legally. Sanders, Benzie, Spencer, Dance, Baldwin, the top 5. Moda, Hunter, Bonomi, Flaum, and Jasper, the top 10. We mentioned Hunter Engrave. Crack at the top 10 earlier. He is now down to 14th. It is now Benke in 11th, Yoshikawa, Hamby, Engrave, and Franchica, the top 15. Lap time for the leaders right now, across the line, 1:38.705 for Gavin Sanders.
You mentioned that pit window is open legally, and North and Moda has taken it. The first driver to come down pit road, Hunter Engrave to follow.
Engrave needs something here for sure.
And after the race last week, we asked a couple of the drivers about the pit strategy, how they felt the best way to handle it was, and nobody really had a great answer. The only answer that they had was cold tires on these cars are one son of a gun. So you just need to pick your spot when you're going to come and pit, and just make sure that you're careful when you go back out. We saw a lot of drivers have issues after they came out of pit road.
for a frame of reference there on Gavin Sanders, 138.705, that is his personal fastest lap of the race. It's about 0.3 off of the purple lap. So these guys are still going pretty fast. I think best practice time was a 137.8, if I remember correctly. So, again, not too far off of that either. Connor Baldwin will be pitting this time from spot number 5. And you had mentioned it in the pre-race, but want to mention it for anybody who was not with us there, that this is a required pit stop, and it is not for an alternate compound. This is just purely to mix up strategy. You're required to take a set of tires sometime between lap 10 and the white flag lap of the race. Tiago Spencer and Cameron Dance awfully close right now in 3rd and 4th.
More drivers have come in to pit. Connor Baldwin, Kevin Bonomi, and Christian Jasper all down pit road. So a lot of drivers from the top 10 have already come in now.
I would imagine there are not going to be a lot of drivers complaining to get new tires on this car at a track like Sebring. It's just getting them up to temperature that is really going to be the problem, especially for some of the drivers in the top 10. The window they're going to be dropping into here is somewhere in the 20s and 30s. So it's nervous times for sure for quite a few of the drivers.
Yeah, maybe the thought process here is we've seen lap times, and I don't know, this may be due to temperatures as well, track temperature, because track temperature has steadily gone down since the sprint race. We're now down to 88 degrees on the track temperature. We've seen a couple of purple laps turned just recently here in the last 2 or 3 laps. So I'm sure it's a combination, but don't know if it's mostly from the tires being at maybe an optimal point or the track temperature playing that much of a role in that as well. But maybe the drivers are sitting here thinking, let's get to the pits early so we have, the tires are nice and warm and quick here a little bit later on with just about 10 minutes left.
And just as you mentioned that, Gavin Sanders, purple lap of the race, 138.460. That is a blazing fast lap here. Also, you mentioned the track temperature. Interestingly enough, practice opened up track temperature-wise at 105 degrees. So, I mean, that is a pretty wild temperature swing here. And that's just one more element working against these drivers if they put in a lot of laps in practice.
Chris Valenzuela, he is headed to the pits from 12th. Him and JJ Wang were fighting for the 11th spot, so JJ Wang will have that spot for now.
JJ's got an exciting week ahead with the Mission R Challenge, potentially the championship falling his way here this Sunday, with some work still to be done. But still, an exciting time for JJ.
Man, has it been 12 weeks already?
It has.
Gonna go on board with Gavin Sanders, show you a lap around here, just how quick and bumpy it is.
His last time around was, again, for the second lap in a row, the purple lap, until Tiago Spencer just clocked it. So Spencer closing in again.
And look at the wheels jumping around here through the tight turns. When you're a driver and you see the wheels coming off the ground like that, that does not make you feel good.
No.
That's an understatement.
Johnny Hamby from 10th is down pit road.
Things have spread out quite a bit now. The first 20 minutes was just absolutely bonkers, and now things have finally started to spread out.
Dakota DeMade, Hugo Galaz down pit road now as well. One more frame of reference for you. Track record, official track record around this layout of Sebring is a 1 minute 41. 1.8 by Kaimoi Kobayashi in an LMP1. So what I'm saying is Tiago Spencer has the track record.
A lot of personal bests going up right now.
Yes.
I mean, we're at a good spot with the track temperature and the tires right now.
Gavin Sanders, purple lap. We'll see if Bensy, Spencer, and Dance have anything to say about it. Not this time around. Sanders, the fastest driver on the track of those with new tires or... So maybe it is paying here to stay out longer.
But again, those folks that have come out to pit already, or come into pit already, I should say, when we get later on in this race, and those leaders have to come and pit late, they're going to be on the colder tires, and that is going to be the time to pounce.
We've seen some late race drama, even just week 2 in the series' existence. We've already had plenty of it. Who's to say there can't be more? I would bet that there probably will be.
I was going to say, my money is on there being more.
I'd say still about half the field yet to come down pit road here for a required pit stop. 20 minutes left to go. So you got about 18 minutes to come and get a fresh set of sticker tires. Gavin Sanders, will see if he can make it 3 laps in a row. No, he's going to pit. So Sanders in from the lead. Will this bring anybody else down? Bensy foregoes. So does Spencer and Dance. Don Hunter is going to bypass pit road here as well. So the only one from the top 5 to come down pit road this time is the race leader.
Zach Flaum, he is coming to pit as well. A little bit farther down the leaderboard. Going back to North and Moda, who was well inside that top 10 battle. After coming into pit, finds himself now back in 20th, well behind a lot of the other folks that have come into pit already. So some sort of a problem for Moda, either with the pit stop or after the pit stop. Not sure which.
It does sound like he had a bit of trouble with where he came out traffic-wise. A couple of times he spammed the chat that he needed to be let by with the blue flag. I'm sure that is frustrating to get dropped back into the middle of the pack like that when you were running pretty smooth in the top 5. I wouldn't know. I'm never in the top 5.
We're going to have a good look at Gavin Sanders here and how the tires will kind of start to come to him a little bit. Franchica was right on the rear wing of Sanders when Sanders came out of the pits.
Here comes Caleb Bensy. Yeah, it's the complete opposite for Gavin Sanders. Well, I guess not the complete opposite. He's came out about where he did last week at Fuji in the pit cycle. I think he came out 5th last week after he pit from the lead at Fuji. This time, still in the top 10, but a little bit further down. Bensy, the only one from the top 5 in this time. Frankie Franchica. Yep. He's in from 9th. Don't believe we've had any pit entry or exit problems in terms of penalties, which is nice. This pit exit, if you're not paying attention, you can find yourself onto the track too early pretty easily.
Here's a look at... Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The look at the gap between Bensy and Sanders as Bensy comes out of the pits. It was about a second and a half when Bensy got on the track, but trying to get these tires warmed up, the gap is to about 2.2 seconds now.
But that is still closer than it was when Sanders came to pit. He had pretty well gapped Caleb Bensey by about 3 or 4 seconds. So Bensey's made up a little bit of time here. See if he can keep on it.
Well, I certainly believe that Sanders being on colder tires and Bensey seemingly being on the most optimal tires they may have for the entire race, I think Bensey was able to close in by quite a bit.
Still waiting pit stops here from the top 5. Tiago Spencer, Cameron Dance, Don Hunter, Damian Benke, and Nagisa Yoshikawa. Tiago Spencer just had an off track. Here comes Cameron Dance to challenge for the lead. It wasn't a full off track, but certainly half the car was in the dirt there through turn 3. And through the hairpin, Cameron Dance is right here. Wow. Oh! Big lockup there.
Yeah, the front end for Cameron Dance got awfully squirrely there with the lockup, as you mentioned, and now a little bit of an off track.
I'm sure the back end for both drivers is a little bit heavier after that one. Will this affect the pit strategy of either of these drivers? Pit road entry just around the bend here for Spencer and Dance, who have been close together all race long. They both bypass it here on lap 18. 19 up on the board.
Now we'll take a look at Connor Baldwin trying to get around Nick Goyette here. This would be for the 9th position. We saw Connor Baldwin in the top 5 before the pit cycle started.
I don't believe Nick Goyette has been down to pit just yet. So he may be looking to do that here, but Connor Baldwin certainly has had a nice night here thus far. And there, Johnny on the spot, Nick Goyette into pit.
This pass not for position for Baldwin, so continues in 9th. And still, I believe 6 of the top 10 have yet to come down pit road. JJ Wang in 8th. And then Benke, Don Hunter, Cameron Dance, Spencer, and Yoshikawa, the top 5, have yet to come in as well. Oh, and there's one around in front of Baldwin. I'm not sure who that was. May have been either Turner or Coons. I see they both had incidents here as of late.
Spencer and Dance again. Go past pit road entry. Oh, wow. Cameron Dance had all 4 wheels in the dirt there around turn 1. He is digging hard. Don Hunter in from 3rd. Last lap for the leader, Tiago Spencer, 138.36. Last lap for Gavin Sanders, 138.604. So he is still slower than Tiago Spencer when Spencer, the race leader, is on the older tires. But that is the boat that Spencer's going to have to be in here when he comes down to pit, whenever that may be.
Wow, there was a shot at the lead by Cameron Dance. He tried to scare him. I don't know if it was really a shot. I think it might have been just a scare tactics here.
Oh, it was the same thing with Andre Castro the other night in the Mission R in Chicago. For whatever reason, Dance in just those couple of corners really has Spencer's number. And it can get frighteningly close sometimes, or sometimes it just is. And hopefully for these two, it does not become, and we could just speculate about it. Another lunge there for Cameron Dance. Will this be the lap that the top two come to pit? It will be for Cameron Dance. So Tiago Spencer still out in the lead, but Cameron Dance getting his required service done. This will put Damian Benke into second, assuming that Benke does not come down pit road here on lap 20.
And the gap from Spencer back to Sanders and then Bensi is about 26 or 27 seconds. That's a big number.
But that is just about the amount of time you're going to lose coming down and getting 4 fresh tires. It is awfully close. And you have to factor in getting the tires up to temperature.
You certainly do. Here's Cameron Dance. Comes out of the pits behind Caleb Bensi. So that's just about the same look that we're going to get with Tiago Spencer.
And the gap from Bensi to Sanders is about 4 seconds. So Tiago Spencer maybe now, with some clear track around him, he can push for a couple of really good laps here and try and close the gap. As Connor Baldwin was just on the slide for life around Big Bend.
Whoa! There goes Caleb Bensi with a big wiggle. Cameron Dance able to close up right on that wing.
Dance is not seeming to have any problems here with tire temp right out of the pits, as he is challenging, trying to get up to what we think will be third place once it's all said and done. Or rather, second place once it's all said and done. Could be a 3-car battle here for second once we see the race leader Tiago Spencer hit pit road. 9 minutes 50, so about 7 minutes left until Tiago Spencer has to hit pit road. Nagisa Yoshikawa from second is down the pits. And that will give second to Gavin Sanders, who is 27.3 seconds behind Spencer. Spencer, 3/10 quicker than Sanders last time around. JJ Wang also pitting from the top 10.
Here's a good battle between Kevin Bonomi and Zach Flown. Bonomi's going to go through on the inside here on the final corner.
Matt Schlosser also pitting this time around.
Whoa, close quarters here after pit stops now. Yoshikawa, Benke, Bonomi, Flown, Jasper, they are all right here together. And a look at a pass here. Yoshikawa.
This is a mess.
Yeah, it sure is. Just as things were getting stretched out after pit stops now, all of a sudden, they've tightened back up again here inside the top 10.
Tiago Spencer, purple lap of the race, 137.48. He is making a bid here for the lead, from the lead, if that makes any sense.
That's the fastest lap of the race by a large margin.
Yeah, it's not even close. Nobody else has even run a 137. He's the only one, and he did it by 0.6. That's ridiculous. The overcut is working. Spencer has put quite a bit of time here on Sanders as we continue to watch this hornet's nest. Yoshikawa giving chase here. Benke, Bonomi, Flaum, Jasper in this group as well. This is 7th down to 11th. Go ahead.
Yeah, it's this is a great group too. A lot of drivers from different backgrounds here, all in this one. Though I wanted to mention while we have you here, if you have not subscribed to the channel, would love for you to at least think about it. It is free to do so, and it really helps us out big time. So if you like what you see, you like all the broadcasts here on Turn 200 and the series that we have to offer on the channel, please think about subscribing it. We would greatly appreciate it.
Another 137 piped in by the race leader, a 137.65 in lap traffic.
That is unbelievable. Track temperature has continued to go down. 85 now on the track temperature, but I think Thiago Spencer is just really putting some heaters in right now.
Gavin Sanders is trying his best to answer here, but still about half a second slower than Thiago Spencer last time around. That time, a 137.88. That's a personal best for Gavin Sanders. It's still 0.2 too slow. The gap stands at about 28 seconds. It's going to be right on the number, isn't it? Assuming neither of them make a mistake.
Yeah, I mean, I do think Spencer will probably come out behind Sanders. I think he's going to come out between Sanders and Bensi, but it'll be close.
Well, regardless of where he comes out, Thiago Spencer is doing exactly what he needs to do, and he is doing it well. 5 minutes, 45 seconds left to go. Thiago Spencer is about 2 laps from having to make a pit stop no matter what, and I believe he's off in the grass. That is a huge time loss for the race leader. He went wide around turn 16.
Most certainly.
And he's going to call it.
Yeah. That was probably the right call. Let's go ahead and take a look back at that incident. Whoa, and that was an awkward, really awkward bobble there. Almost like he got caught up on the rumble strips there, and I don't know, just a really awkward incident.
Well, if things were going to be close before, they're going to be less close now, as there goes Gavin Sanders, Thiago Spencer on pit road exit here. And once he gets to the next sector, I could give you a more precise time here. It's about 4 seconds. And that probably cost him about 2.5 if I were to wager a guess.
Not only that, he has Caleb Bensi behind him, not too far. Bensi's much closer to Spencer than Spencer is to Sanders.
Well, with 4 minutes and change left to go, now the question is, how much overtake do you have left? The difference between the U.S. open wheel C-Class cars, push to pass, and this, is you can push the button here and just let her eat. You have to manually turn off the push to pass in the Super Formula, and it does not stop unless you stop it or you run out. So if Thiago's been off that button, he can just hit it and let it ride for the next 3 minutes until it runs out. But again, he's 4.6 seconds behind the race leader. That is too much to overcome unless something happens to Gavin Sanders.
Yeah, Bensi has continued to close since Spencer came out of the pits, so Bensi's looking to take over second place again.
And Cameron Dance will be in the dance here for this as well. Well, I swear we're at a different track, but this seems like a rerun from last week. With Zhao tanking the sprint win, finding problems early, finding his way out of the feature race, and Gavin Sanders storming up through the invert to take the lead.
Still great battles going on back here inside the top 10. Yoshikawa, Bonomi, Benki, Zach Flaum, they're all still here together.
This is also a rerun. This was the battle from 5th through 9th last week, and now we just moved it down a couple of spots. It's still awesome, though.
Now, Yoshikawa and Bonomi are leading this pack here. They've been the two battling the most. Here's the look up to third place. You mentioned Cameron Dance is right here in the mix as well.
2-minute warning. So should have... it's going to be really close on whether or not this is the last lap. I would say this is going to be the final lap. There's 1:38 left on the clock, so I would say white flag is waving for Gavin Sanders. And that is the purple lap at the white.
Yep. There's
Spencer
the white.
Spencer with half a second to spare ahead of this battle as Cameron Dance with a lunge to try and get on the podium, but he goes wide. Here's Bensi battling back. Bensi hangs on to third, but the hairpin looms ahead.
Bensi will most likely try to protect the inside here. Maybe not. Sticks to the normal line. Dance does the same.
Push to pass wide open on all of the top four. Dance has been so good. There into that tight 45. Bensi with just a few more turns to navigate to hang on to spot number 3. But some crucial ones at that. But just as João de Gregorio has swept the sprint races, Gavin Sanders, he's looking to sweep the features. One corner to go, and it's his. Gavin Sanders weathers the strategy storm to win it at Sebring. Tiago Spencer will finish in second, and we're side by side for the final spot on the podium. Give it to Cameron Dance. He steals it at the line by 3/100ths of a second.
Oh, there's contact with this battle farther back. Christian Jasper.
Christian Jasper and Hunter Engrave are both off and around, and it's going to cost him a spot in the top 10. Oh, man.
Big move to the inside from Zach Flaum as well. Not able to get it done.
Damian Benke going to hold on to 8th. Kevin Bonomi will finish in 9th. Zach Flaum rounds out your top 10. As it's 2 in a row for Gavin Sanders, and he has burned it down in turn 1.
Still quite a few drivers trying to make their way across the line here.
Well, we kind of joked that it was a rerun from last week, but quite a few great battles all the way down to the line this time. Pit strategy really mixed this one up in the best way possible. And what a thrilling conclusion to this one in Sebring, especially for spot number 3 there.
Yeah, the drivers here in the Formula Super Series, they have been putting on a show.
Well, I think we can go ahead and take a look now at the full finishing rundown, and we'll do just that. With your podium, Gavin Sanders again, second feature win in a row. Tiago Spencer, a fantastic drive. He was the hard charger last week. Came oh so close to mixing it up here at the end, but he will finish in second. And Cameron Dance will round out the podium in a hard-fought battle all the way down to the line. We'll talk to, hopefully, Tiago and Cameron for the very first time. Gavin Sanders, the winningest driver on this channel. I guess we'll talk to him, too. Caleb Bensi, oh so close, but a 4th place finish, much better than his week went last week. Don Hunter, solid top 5 finish here tonight. Connor Baldwin, another solid top 10 for him as well. Nagisa Yoshikawa, Damian Benke, Kevin Bonomi and Zach Flaum back at the top 10 again. Frankie Franchica will sneak through to 11th after problems late there for Christian Jasper. Relegates him to 12th. Johnny Hamby went up 13 spots here tonight. He will finish in 13th. Hunter Engrave will finish down in 14th. JJ Wang in 15th. Northern Moda, an early pit stop for him, and he did not quite recover from that. He finishes down in 16th. Chris Valenzuela in 17th. Dakota DeMade at 18th. Hugo Galaz, Nick Goyette, your top 20. Matt Schlosser, last driver to finish on the lead lap here in 21st. And I believe last driver to finish overall, Eric Coons in 22nd. This one, Sebring opened up and swallowed the entire back half of this field pretty much. Waylon Turner in 23rd, Jeff Oakes in 24th, Ian Bakes, Dan Miglin, Daryl Klotz, Hayden Herman, Navarre Luce, and Nicholas Cedro through 30th. Logan Spath 31st, Drew White 32nd, Mario Capalucci at 33rd, Dave Payton, Nate Siefker, Jao Di Gregorio, another DNF in 36th, Kresge in 37th, Cody Claiborne, Joshua Tucker, the 39 drivers who took the green flag here tonight. I see our race winner in the waiting room here, and we'll hope to snag a word with either Cameron Dance or with Tiago Spencer between now and our interview with the race leader. I guess while we wait for either second or third to pop up here, why don't you give us some of your thoughts of our first turn 200 outing here at Sebring? It was one not to be forgotten.
Yeah, I mean it was great. So many great battles. A couple of really good spots to pass here at Sebring, which always makes it interesting, especially when you have push to pass available here on these cars. It just makes it that much more, you're able to be aggressive there in those passing areas, I guess. And we saw tons of aggression here tonight, as we've come to expect from a lot of the familiar faces here in this series. And some new faces for us, they are giving it and dishing it right back. So lots of great stuff that we have been watching here over the first couple of weeks. I cannot wait. I tell you what, Mount Panorama next week is going to be absolutely bonkers.
Mount Panorama, baby. That's going to be a wild one for sure. That is what we have in store for you next week. But still waiting on Cameron Dance. I don't want to skip over him if he's just a little bit behind here. But I'm afraid we're going to have to here. I don't want to keep anybody waiting too long, especially since I know we got quite a few people waiting to hear from Tiago Spencer. So I'll give it just the 5-second rule, then we'll move right along here. And if he pops in later, we'll of course pull him in before Gavin Sanders. But let's go ahead and pull up your second place finisher here while we're waiting for Cameron Dance. Tiago Spencer with the second place finish here tonight, and one that had us up on our feet there towards the end of your green flag stint. But congratulations on the second place finish here tonight.
Thank you, guys. Good evening. Yeah, this race was a good one. I mean, I'm really, really tired right now. My right wrist is really bad. I decreased the wheel strength, but you know this track is really bumpy. So yeah, good. I thought that my first race was gonna be good, but I don't know what happened. Not maybe, but I struggle a lot behind the cars. And I didn't practice that. So yeah, second race, I thought I had like a good start, but I was first turn I was outside on the right, so need to brake really early to avoid any contact because the track is really, really hot and the tire is cold. Anyway, so good race. Congrats to Sanders. He did really, really well this second race.
When you said you struggled behind cars, and that kind of showed there, because when everybody came to pit, you were going. I mean, you were turning some incredibly fast laps there before you made your pit stop there. What was it about staying out there in clean air that made you so much faster, you think?
Yeah. When you're behind the cars, you lose downforce, and as I didn't practice that, I didn't train that, right? And with any, I mean, without any cars in front of me, I can keep up with the pace. But in the end, I was having a lot of mistakes, so I lost maybe 4 or 5 seconds that cost me to the fight in the end. But as I said, it was a really good race, second race, and the main point here is when you are behind the cars, you need to brake early, try to let the car rotate a little more without using the power, because if you hit the throttle, you're going to lose the front end, not the back end, because you can adjust the pressure of the throttle, but the front is really, for me, is really bad in this setup. But I mean, it's my fault, and I need to practice that, train more. Yeah.
Matt, do you have anything?
Just a congratulations, and you've really been putting on a show for us, so appreciate the great battles that you put on for us thus far. Is there anybody else that you'd like to thank here? Well, we got you.
Yeah, thank you guys. Yeah, I would like to thank my wife, because without her, I wasn't able to do it, to race with you guys. I have 2 daughters, so need to young daughters, need to take care of them. And yeah, thanks to her, and thanks to my team, thanks to João de Gregorio and Norton for the help, and in the Wave Italy. So yeah, that's it.
Yes, absolutely. Shout out all the sim wives and sim moms, and shout out to you as well. Thank you for
Thank you, man.
for coming out and racing, and nice job here tonight.
Sure, thank you. Bye bye.
All right, we've got our third place finisher now, doing it a little bit out of order, but that's all right. We'll talk to the man who steals it there, right at the line, Cameron Dance, on the podium here tonight, and a well-deserved one at that. Congratulations.
Yeah, it was a really good race in the end. Pretty intense, to be honest, with Thiago the whole entire way, and then obviously the way the pit stops all sort of themselves ended up being right behind Caleb and gave it a red hot crack right at the final corner. I wasn't sure I was going to get him, but hey, look, third place, I'll take it with the fact that the move stuck.
I was going to say, you and Thiago and Caleb there for a little while, you couldn't seem to get away from one another. That has to be a bit nerve-wracking, especially at a track here like Sebring.
Yeah, I was half tempted to pit a little bit earlier, to be honest, just to get some clean air and try and see if I could undercut him with obviously the clean air and being held up a little bit. But I ended up just staying out and trying to use the newer tyres. And obviously with the fact that it takes them a few laps to get up to temp as well, I knew that if Thiago pitted any later, he was probably going to struggle for a couple of laps. So it was going to be interesting to see how it would have played out if I had pitted early. But it ended up being still a good result in the end anyway.
Matt, what do you got?
Well, congratulations. We saw you kind of stuck behind some drivers a couple of times here tonight. How difficult is it to be patient here around this tight track?
Yeah, it's quite difficult. Obviously, you've got a lot of high-speed corners as well, so aero wash doesn't really help you there, and you have to sort of think a couple of corners ahead as to what you're going to do as far as the move and try and utilize the tyres you've got and the grip you've obviously got with all that aero wash in front of you. So, yeah, it was all about being patient and just making sure you weren't being silly or trying anything too overly aggressive, especially through some of those corners where it's not really too wide friendly. So, yeah, it was just being smart, and you just had to think about it long term rather than right in the moment sort of thing.
Well, nice job here tonight. Glad to get you on the podium. Anybody you want to shout out or say hello to here?
Yeah, just obviously shout out to all the boys at Orbit Motorsport and everybody that's on the car, the likes of Hybrid Tune and that. They're all great supporters for me. So cheers to them, and we'll see if we can go get another podium or even a dub next week.
Absolutely. We'll see you get to better hopefully next week here. But congrats on the P3 here tonight.
Cheers, guys.
And we'll talk to your race winner for, I believe, 17th time here on Turn 200. Either way, it's the second week in a row here in Formula Super Series. Gavin Sanders back on the top step again in spectacular fashion. Welcome back to Booth 200. It's not been too long, but always a pleasure to have you up here.
Yeah, I'm happy to be back.
Yeah, and I said we had a rerun because Zhao won the sprint race. You win the feature for the second week in a row. And it took some strategy to get it done here, though. It was a bit of a nail biter there whether Thiago was going to come out right behind you or not. with the overcut. Were you surprised that that worked as well as it did before he sort of sent it off into the grass there?
No, it made sense. Overall, I think the overcut in general is much stronger. I just more so wanted to get it out of the way. So, as the leader, you're kind of in a weird position where if you go, they're just either not going to go, they're going to follow you or whatever. But you're kind of in a weird spot where you're just evaluating yourself, and you're not necessarily at the advantage of being behind and kind of being able to look at the guys in front to get a read of where you are versus them and what you need in that moment. So I think maybe it was a mistake, but at the same time, the cold tires were so sketchy. If I had to come out of the pits with 2 or 3 laps to go or whatever and just go full send, I definitely would have binned it. So overall, I think it was the safe but conscious decision.
Matt, what do you got here for our race winner?
Well, huge congratulations on the second feature win here of the season, in just the second round, might I add. I was a little bit curious about the lap times. We saw the lap times really pick up there throughout the race, even with like 20 or 15 minutes to go. Folks were turning their personal best. What is there anything that you attribute that to, or is it just people getting comfortable? Maybe track temperature changes? Anything in particular?
I definitely think that the big thing with this car is that the tire carcass is so hard to warm up. And as well, we have to run a 45-minute race on a single tank of fuel because you can't fill up in this car. It's completely locked. So the only thing you're doing when you pit is just changing over the tires, which is technically just a disadvantage because you're losing 2 or 3 laps of flat out pace. But yeah, I think the personal best, as the fuel burns off, you're in a really good position if you have more than 2, 3, 4 laps on the stint already, so that you can kind of hammer down and press through and put down PBs. I mean, I think I went 8 or 9 tenths faster than my quali lap than I did in the race. Or sorry, the opposite. You know what I meant. But
Yep.
yeah, no, it's a pretty interesting combination. You're sacrificing pace for tire wear, and the tires don't wear a whole lot, but they're awful when they're cold. So the pit stop really makes it a big hurdle, and you have to get it just right, or you have to be naturally just a lot faster to cover off any silly mistake.
Well, we've got one Alan Sanders in the chat here with a couple of
yeah.
claps and a smiley face. I'm sure you got people you want to shout out here.
Yeah, obviously, thanks to my dad for getting in the chat. I think that's probably the first time ever he's been in the chat, so that's really cool. Yeah, thanks everybody for watching, and thanks to you guys as always for putting on an awesome show. I can't wait to go back and take a look, and obviously Melamo Esports, Stowe Motorsports, the whole crew, Team Raceverse. I'm gonna say it again, people. If you haven't done it, I don't know what rock you're living under. Buy Echo Blade on Steam. On Steam, specifically on Steam. You have to buy Echo Blade. Just do it. Okay? That's it. And beyond that, Sunset Arctic Games, the producer of Echo Blade itself. And yeah, I think this was a real treat. I don't think many people were super pleased with the way the car raced around this track, but you know what? We got to do some random stuff every once in a while. So at least we didn't race the Jetta or something. And I guess we'll move on to Bathurst.
There you go. We'll see if we can get 3 in a row next week down under. But congrats on win number 2 here to kick things off. Nice job here tonight.
Appreciate it. See you guys on Wednesday.
See you on Wednesday. Yes, indeed. ASRL Sports Car Championship is back. And it's at Kansas, the infield road course, not the oval. So one of the more simple ovals there is, but that is not a knock on it because Kansas road course kicks all kinds of booty. Is there anything else, I guess, before I roll into my long spiel here that you want to close out the night with?
Well, as always, we want to thank the folks that were hanging out with us here tonight. Another good amount of viewers here live, which is always a pleasure to see. So thank you to anybody that tunes in live. And shout out to everybody that watches afterwards as well. I don't know how many of them make it to this point in the broadcast, but if you happen to hear it, thank you to you guys as well. James Lehman, João de Gregorio, the 06 champ, and Alan Sanders were hanging out in the chat with us here tonight. And wow, good stuff from the drivers here tonight. But you're going to tell the folks about some really good stuff we got coming up as well.
Who's ready for Talladega? That's the question.
Baby.
We are back to Dega tomorrow night with the Venom Truck Series. I'm sure everybody that was watching remembers what happened last time we rolled into Talladega there, or what's happened the last, I don't know, every time that we've gone to a super speedway, it seems like, in the last 4 months on this channel. More of that tomorrow night. Very exciting stuff, as always, for the I'll Gladly Stand Up race from Talladega. Wednesday night, like we mentioned, it is a 20-minute dash and a 40-minute feature for the ASRL Sports Car Championship from Kansas Road Course. Thursday night, it is Championship Thursday for Maximum Velocity Racing League. It is the long-awaited Crowder versus Schulta championship battle. It all culminates on Thursday night. And then Sunday, it is Championship Sunday as well, as we will crown a champion, our first ever official series champion, with the Top Split Strength of Field broadcast for the Mission R Challenge from the Charlotte Roval. And then we are back here next Monday from Mount Panorama. Yes, we are racing these cars around Bathurst. And if you... we keep scaling down. It was fast and wide open at Fuji. It's very fast and not very wide here at Sebring. And next week, it might not be fast, and it is definitely not wide. So get ready for Bathurst next week. It is going to be something else. So exciting stuff here for the Formula Super Series. If you haven't already, hit subscribe on your way onto the stream here tonight. Every little bit helps in our quest to get to 500. We're so close. And the reason that we're so close is thanks to the viewers of the Formula Super Series. We put up big numbers last week, like Matt mentioned. Another big night for us here again. Appreciate everybody who came out and spent some time with us here, and I know the drivers do as well. So thank you very much. We hope to see you again between now and next Monday. But whatever it is, until we meet again, for everybody here with the FSS, for the GOAT, the one and only Mr. Florida Man, Matt Williamson, I'm Tommy Cook. We are saying so long from Sebring, or João de Gregorio and Gavin Sanders. Take the checkered flags here again.